The number of confirmed coronavirus cases in India goes up to 6,412. 199 people have lost their lives due to the pandemic so far. 503 people discharged after successful treatment. Prime Minister Modi holds conversation with the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe and the Nepalese Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli, discusses the prevailing situation due to COVID-19. The Brazilian President and Israeli Prime Minister thanked India for providing hydroxychloroquine. Prime Minister Modi says India is ready to do whatever is possible to help our friends. State put all their resources in fighting COVID-19. In Uttar Pradesh, more than 11 lakh construction workers provided 1,000 rupees. Total 720 positive cases in Delhi. Door-to-door medical scanning of the residents being conducted in the identified hotspots. 67 new cases reported in Gujarat. People offer prayers online on the occasion of Good Friday in Kerala. In a big boost to fight against COVID-19, the government grants exemption from the basic customs duty and health cess on the import of ventilators, face and surgical masks, PPE and the COVID-19 test kits. 1.6 million affected, more than 95,000 people killed by coronavirus across the world. The US records 1,783 virus deaths in the past 24 hours. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson out of the ICU. Chicago jail reports 450 coronavirus cases among staff and the inmates. Hello and good afternoon. You're watching Doordarshan News with me, Nancy Kohli. Top story: the number of total confirmed coronavirus cases in India has risen to 6,412, and the number of active COVID-19 cases across the country now stands at 5,709. 199 people have lost their lives due to the pandemic so far, while 503 people have been cured and discharged after treatment. Prime Minister Modi today spoke with the Prime Minister of Nepal, KP Sharma Oli, and both the leaders discussed the prevailing situation due to COVID-19. The Prime Minister appreciated the determination of the people of Nepal to fight the challenge. Prime Minister said that India stands in solidarity with Nepal in the fight against COVID-19. And Prime Minister Modi also held discussion with the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe about the COVID-19 pandemic. The Prime Minister in a tweet said, I quote, "The India-Japan Special Strategic and Global Partnership can help develop new technologies and solutions for the post-COVID world, for our peoples, for the Indo-Pacific region and for the world." And earlier on, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu thanked Prime Minister Modi for his decision to approve the supply of chloroquine to Israel. This comes after the US President Donald Trump and the Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro took to their official handle on Twitter to thank Prime Minister Modi for lifting the ban on the export of the anti-malaria drug that is proving to be effective in treating the COVID-19 infection. Benjamin Netanyahu in a tweet said, I quote, "Thank you, my dear friend, Prime Minister Modi, the Prime Minister of India, for sending chloroquine to Israel. All the citizens of Israel, thank you," unquote. And the Prime Minister in his reply tweeted, I quote again, "We have to jointly fight this pandemic. India is ready to do whatever is possible to help our friends, praying for the well-being and the good health of the people of Israel," unquote. And Prime Minister Modi also thanked the Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro. In a tweet, the Prime Minister said, I quote, "The India-Brazil partnership is stronger than ever in these challenging times. India is committed to contributing to humanity's fight against the pandemic," unquote. Meanwhile, all the states across the country are putting all their resources in fighting COVID-19. Let's talk about Uttar Pradesh first, where the government is constantly taking steps to provide relief to those struggling during the lockdown to fight the spread of COVID-19. The Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has said that 11 lakh construction workers have been given 1,000 rupees each. Also, the honorarium of 88 lakh Manrega workers have been increased to 202 rupees each.
लाख से अधिक निर्माण श्रमिकों को 1-1 हजार रुपए की राशि उनके अकाउंट में दी जा चुकी है। इसमें हम लोग 20 लाख निर्माण श्रमिकों को ये राशि उपलब्ध करवा रहे हैं। 15 लाख से अधिक ऐसे सभी लोगों को भी जो दैनिक अपनी कमाई करते थे, आज उनकी कमाई प्रभावित हुई है, उनको भी राशि उपलब्ध करा रहे हैं। मनरेगा की मजदूरी करने वाले प्रदेश के अंदर 88 लाख ऐसे श्रमिक हैं जिनके मानदेय को बढ़ा करके 202 रुपया किया गया है।
And he further informed that the Prime Minister has announced the Prime Minister's Poor Welfare Package, and the farmers will be given an amount of 2,000 rupees for the coming 3 months. So the Ujjwala beneficiaries will be given a free gas cylinder for 3 months.
आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने भी प्रधानमंत्री गरीब कल्याण पैकेज की घोषणा की है, जिसमें प्रदेश के 2 करोड़ 34 लाख किसानों को 2,000 रुपये प्रति माह आगामी 3 महीने तक देने की व्यवस्था है। जनधन अकाउंट में जिन लोगों के अकाउंट खोले गए हैं, ऐसी महिला लाभार्थियों को 500 रुपये प्रति माह आगामी 3 महीने तक धनराशि देने की व्यवस्था की गई है। साथ ही साथ इस योजना के अंतर्गत उज्ज्वला योजना में जितने भी लाभार्थी हैं, उन लोगों को आगामी 3 महीने तक रसोई गैस के सिलेंडर भी निःशुल्क उपलब्ध कराया जाना है।
And Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has also informed that arrangements are being made for food of all people through the community kitchens.
सभी लोगों को भोजन उपलब्ध कराने की व्यवस्था, स्वास्थ्य की सुविधा जो भी हो, ये सारी व्यवस्थाएं प्रदेश और केंद्र की सरकार मिलकर के प्रत्येक नागरिक तक पहुंचाने का कार्य कर रही है।
Now, the government has started the biggest cash transfer scheme for the welfare of poor and the deprived sections of society. And under the scheme, from 50 to 500 rupees are being transferred directly to over 4 crore women Jan-Dhan account holders, and the funds for the purchase of 3 free cooking gas cylinders are also being transferred to 8 crore Ujjwala Yojana beneficiaries. Under the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, the beneficiaries have started receiving money in their accounts since the 3rd of April. Now, the government targets to transfer money into the accounts of all the beneficiaries by the 9th. In Varanasi as well, people are visiting various branches of banks and the customer care centers to withdraw money, keeping in mind the precautions including social distancing and covering their face. Meanwhile, the Delhi government has updated the list of hotspots in the national capital, adding a few more places, taking the total number of high-risk COVID-19 areas now to 25. The initial list, which had 20 hotspots, was released by the government on Wednesday, while 5 more places were identified later as the hotspots. Meanwhile, the Delhi Health Minister Satendra Jain said that in the hotspots identified in Delhi, door-to-door medical scanning of the residents is being conducted. Around 6,000 houses have been scanned in Nizamuddin area as well. 1 person has tested positive for COVID-19. And the Gujarat Principal Secretary Health, Jayanti Ravi, addressing a press conference, had said that 46 new cases of COVID-19 have come up. Total positive cases of COVID-19 in the state has now gone up to 308.
आज हम देखें तो 46 केस आए हैं। ये केस कहाँ के हैं? अहमदाबाद के 11, पाटन के 2, वडोदरा के 17, राजकोट के 5, कच्छ के 2, भरूच एक नया सेंटर वहाँ आमोद से 4 केसेस आए, गांधीनगर में 1, भावनगर में 4, ऐसे कुल 46 केसेस हमारे आए हैं टोटल पॉजिटिव गुजरात में। और अभी जितने ये 308 जो कुल अभी तक पॉजिटिव केसेस हैं 308, इसमें से जिसे हम कहते हैं एक्टिव पेशेंट्स, यानी कि जो अभी फिलहाल ट्रीटमेंट में हैं, ट्रीटमेंट ले रहे हैं, इसमें 257 ऐसे पेशेंट्स हैं जो बिल्कुल स्टेबल हैं और 2 पेशेंट्स ऐसे हैं जो क्रिटिकल हैं, वेंटिलेटर्स पर हैं।
Meanwhile, the Maharashtra police have registered a case against the DHFL promoter Kapil Wadhwan, Dheeraj Wadhwan and other members of their families under charges of disobedience when they were travelling from Khandala to Mahabaleshwar. Kapil and Dheeraj Wadhwan, the promoters of Diwan Housing Finance Limited, the DHFL, have been detained in Mahabaleshwar for violating the nationwide lockdown owing to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Wadhwans had travelled to Mahabaleshwar on the morning of 9th April. The police were informed by the locals who came to know of the group has travelled to the farmhouse from Mumbai. The State Home Minister Anil Deshmukh has meanwhile informed that the Principal Secretary Special Amitabh Gupta has been sent on forced leave till the inquiry is pending. And the State Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray has held a meeting with the DGO Subodh Jaiswal and briefed about the episode. Moving on now, the Muzaffarnagar police in Uttar Pradesh has sealed the borders of the district and only vehicles associated with the essential services are permitted in the district. However, some people are still roaming in the streets, and to teach a lesson to these violators, the Muzaffarnagar police has started home delivery now of the FIRs, the first information reports. Police in fact notes down the number of violators' vehicles and then delivers the FIRs at their houses. And while as Kerala enters 17th day of the lockdown, the people of the state has complied with the lockdown norms, and it has resulted in arresting the rate of COVID-19 infection across the state. While today, on the occasion of Good Friday today, while the devotees have also confined to their houses watching online church services. Our correspondent Arun Shamna joins from Trivandrum and has in fact filed this report.
We are at the capital city of Kerala, Thiruvananthapuram. At Thiruvananthapuram, we are at a place called Palayam. Now today is a very important day. Today is Good Friday. Mind you, Kerala has a significant population of Christians. So under normal conditions, this day witnesses hectic activities throughout the state. But since there are restrictions in place due to the war against COVID-19, the place is more or less deserted. Now, not only is it due to the restrictions against COVID given by the government, but it is also the call given by the religious leaders of the Christian community. They have requested the people to go according to the mandates or according to the regulations put forward by the state and central government and confine themselves to their homes. Instead, what they have actually done is they have made arrangements for online streaming of the activities in the church. The state has actually constituted a high-power expert committee. Now, the expert committee has actually recommended a staggered stage-by-stage process of unlocking the lockdown, which means that there will be relaxations in place, but that will be based on a case-to-case basis after identifying the hotspots, probably a classification of regions and areas, and then there will be a step-by-step procedure of going about relaxations in the lockdown. So as a whole, if you want to see, the lockdown is pretty much successful in the state of Kerala, and we are in the right direction with signs of positive developments from the state.
And well, as the nation is on toes literally in battle against COVID-19, the Bihar Municipal Corporation is also ramping up measures to stop the spread of the deadly coronavirus. The corporation has initiated the sanitization work for the next 15 days through drones in various districts of the state, prioritizing the hotspots in first round, followed by the remaining districts. The sanitization program is also in fact being conducted in Jaisalmer. The Jaisalmer Municipal Corporation has conducted sanitization with the Falcon spray in the city. The secretary of the Jaisalmer Municipal Corporation has said that this machine can cover a large area in one go. The sanitization program that began on a large scale in the city is undergoing. And in a unique initiative, the Forest and Excise Departments of Assam have come together to sanitize the areas of Guwahati as a preventive measure to contain the spread of novel coronavirus COVID-19. The Assam State Zoo is using the traditional fogging machine and a spare mist in disinfection machine to kill the virus, the fungi and bacteria in different areas. The liquid containing 80% alcohol, which is used as the solution in the machine, has been provided by the Excise Department of Assam. The Assam Excise Department is also undertaking the sanitization program and helping the civic authorities to sanitize several roads and areas in and around Guwahati.
We had upgraded our infrastructure recently for the zoo, so we had all the fogging machine, misting machines, which can atomize the disinfectant and spray along in the air. So in a way, it's like apart from general spraying, we are trying to fully sanitize the area. So that by using those fogging machines, in the fogging machines also we have put the disinfectant agent. We are using Virkon spray, so it is quite good baricidal. So in that way, like an overall sanitization is happening, which will be helpful for the people who are working and also in general, public in general.
And while considering the immediate requirement of ventilators and other items, the central government has granted exemption from the basic customs duty and health cess on the import of some goods with immediate effect. And while these goods include the ventilators, face masks, surgical masks, the personal protection equipment or the PPE, the COVID-19 test kits and inputs for manufacture of these items. This basic customs duty exemption shall be available up to 30th September this year. And India imports about 80% of its medical device requirement. At present, health cess on the medical equipment is 5% over and above the customs duty of 7.5%. The total duty varies between 11 and 22% depending on the product. The war against coronavirus continues across the world as well, and nearly 1.6 million people are infected globally, while more than 95,000 people have been killed due to COVID-19. Talking about the US first, while more than 15,000 people have died in the coronavirus pandemic. The tally has gone to 15,774, and that's the number of those who have lost their lives from around 4,32,596 cases as the US struggles to combat the spread of the virus. And America's coronavirus epicenter of New York recorded a new single-day high of 799 COVID-19 deaths on Thursday. However, the governor has said that the rate of the hospitalization continued to fall. He also added that 799 people died in the last 24 hours, outdoing the previous high of 779 announced on Wednesday. But he also added that the curve was flattening because of the social confinement measures in place there. The Cook County Jail in Chicago has become a coronavirus hotspot with 276 inmates and 172 sheriff office staff testing positive. According to the Cook County Sheriff Department, of the inmates who have tested positive, 21 are at local hospitals and 36 are at the recovery facilities there. Now, one prisoner has died of apparent complications. The detainees who tested positive are isolated, and their cellmates have also been quarantined and they are being monitored regularly. The British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has left intensive care and has returned to his ward at the hospital, but he still remains under close observation at the St. Thomas Hospital in London. But in a statement, the Downing Street said he's extremely in good spirits. While it comes as the UK government announced 881 deaths, bringing the total to 8,000. And the International Monetary Fund has said that this year, 2020, could see the worst global economic fallout since the Great Depression in the 1930s, with over 170 countries likely to experience the negative per capita income growth due to the raging coronavirus pandemic. The IMF Managing Director made the remarks during her address on confronting the crisis, priorities for the global economy ahead of next week's annual spring meeting of the IMF and the World Bank. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called on Thursday for the Security Council to unite in its response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The UN Secretary General has called it the fight of a generation and the raison d'etre, which means reasons for existence of the UN itself. The members of the UNSC have expressed their support for all the efforts of the Secretary General concerning potential impact of COVID-19 to conflict-affected countries and recall the need for unity and solidarity with all those affected. And the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has warned that the coronavirus pandemic is deepening already existing inequalities and is having devastating social and economic consequences for women and girls that could reverse the limited progress towards gender equality over the last 25 years. The UN chief urged governments to put women and girls at the center of their efforts to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic.
I urge governments to put women and girls at the center of their efforts to recover from COVID-19. That starts with women as leaders, with equal representation and decision-making power. Measures to protect and stimulate the economy, from cash transfers to credits and loans, must be targeted at women. Social safety nets must be expanded. Unpaid care work must be recognized and valued as a vital contribution to the economy. The pandemic has also led to a horrifying increase in violence against women. Nearly 1 in 5 women worldwide has experienced violence in the past year. Many of these women are now trapped at home with their abusers, struggling to access services that are suffering from cuts and restrictions. This was the basis for my appeal to governments earlier this week to take urgent steps to protect women and expand support services. COVID-19 is not only challenging global health systems, but testing our common humanity.
The World Health Organization has launched dedicated messaging services in Arabic, English, French, Hindi, Italian, Spanish and Portuguese with the partners WhatsApp and Facebook to keep people safe from coronavirus. Now, this easy-to-use messaging service has the potential to reach 2 billion people and also enables the WHO to get information directly into the hands of the people that need it the most. From government leaders to health workers and family and friends, this messaging service provides the latest news and information on the coronavirus, including details on the symptoms and how people can protect themselves and others as well. While it also provides the latest situation reports and numbers in real time to help government decision makers protect the health of their population. And in fact, this service can be accessed via a link that opens a conversation on WhatsApp. Users can simply type Namaste to the WhatsApp number of the World Health Organization, and that number up there on your screens, that's +41 22 501 7341 to activate the conversation in Hindi. Type a hi to the WhatsApp number of WHO, that's +41 79 893 1892 on WhatsApp to activate the conversation in English. And amid lockdown across world over COVID-19, Bulletin Zoo in Chile has kicked off Easter celebration for animals, although the zoo remains closed. The zookeepers fed them some extra special treats. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the news. Well, that's all we have for you in this bulletin. But before we wrap, we are leaving you with this video that's released by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare on stress management during the COVID-19 pandemic. Take a look at that. Stay home, stay safe, and take very good care of yourself.
Now, I'm going to teach you some yogic practices to reduce stress and enhance lung functions. First practice, hands in and out breathing. Hands parallel to the ground. Take a deep breath in, open your arms. Breathe out and come back. Synchronize your body with the breath. Do this for 10 counts. Next practice, hand stretch breathing. Interlock the fingers on your chest. Breathe in, breathe out. Do this at 90 degree. Then do this at 135 degree. And then do the same practice at 180 degrees. Do these practice each for 5 counts. Then come to sitting position. Now let us do some pranayama in sitting position. Adapt chin mudra, forceful exhalation with pulling the abdomen in. Do this practice for 2 minutes and then do Bhramari. Focus your attention between the eyebrows, touch your tongue to the upper palate and produce the humming sound. Do this for 3 minutes.